about that, and then we can ask you a little bit more about your campaign.
Sure. So Cottonwood Environmental Law Center is based out of Bozeman. We're a nonprofit and we are a community organization. So we're based on, we run off of donations from our members. We don't take any government money. We work from private individuals and foundations, things like that. Um, so when I got out of law school, I really wanted to practice environmental law in Bozeman because I love the mountains out here. But no one was hiring, and so I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to start my own law firm." And I moved into a yurt without running water or electricity south of Bozeman. I did that for 5 years to save money and get Cottonwood started. And I lost a few lawsuits. I spent years working on these lawsuits, and I did a bunch of legal research in that time and realized, hey, if I had a client, we could do some amazing things, but I just can't find a client. And right now, the law firm was a passive approach in that we're waiting for clients to come to the door to us. And so I said, if we could go and do what we wanted to do, we would be a much more proactive organization. And so we amended our bylaws to say we're going to have members now. And that gives us tons of flexibility to go and challenge things we don't like seeing, and we can go change things that we want to see. It just provides a ton of flexibility. And so we've had tremendous success since we made that change. We have protected dozens of rivers and streams. Back in 2014, we settled a case with the Montana DEQ. So the DEQ is responsible for administering the Clean Water Act. And that means they give out the permits to the people who are discharging the water pollution in the rivers and streams. And the idea behind the Clean Water Act is we want to eliminate water pollution. And so you're given a permit, you apply and you're given a permit for 5 years. And every 5 years, you have to apply for a new permit. And as part of those new permit conditions, you have to get new technology that's available. So you're always, every 5 years, you're better technology, you're polluting less. And so the DEQ had been extending these permits for up to 15 years. And so we said, hey, we can't do that. If we want a clean and healthful environment, which we are entitled to as Montanans under our constitution, you can't do that. You need to kind of get these guys back on track. So we settled that case. I think it was with 41 uh, dischargers. And so we helped clean up 41 rivers and streams across the state of Montana back in 2014. Uh,
Mm.
in
So,
20, go ahead.
how does your membership work? Who do you pay dues for joining? Do you have a certain list of people that have come to you to be a member? How does that work?
Yeah, so anyone can become a member. We have a member page on our website. You can pay, I think it's maybe $20 a year, maybe $50 a year. It's we try to make it within reach of everyone. And if people are on fixed incomes, we say donate what you can. So we want to be extremely inclusive. There's no reason why you can't be a member of Cottonwood. When I first started Cottonwood, our first member was my roommate and he didn't have any money. And so he donated $1 a month. He said, I'll give you $1 a month. And 15 years later, whatever, yeah, 14, 15 years later, he's still a member of Cottonwood. He still donates $1 a month. And PayPal, he donates through PayPal. They deduct 52 cents every month. So we
Each
really
month?
are each
Each
month,
month?
each
Oh
month.
my.
Yep. So we really are a grassroots organization. I would encourage you to get on our website, donate just a few dollars, whatever you can, and become a member. We have cases. We had a case outside of Billings, actually. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Shepherd landfill.
Oh
So,
yes.
yeah, we challenged that against the DEQ, and the court issued an order last week saying the landfill can move forward. Uh, the judge said there's some potentially conflicting evidence. So we're looking into whether we think we should appeal that. We have law clerks, like a legal intern. We have somebody from the University of Denver this semester. We have somebody from Vermont Law School this semester. We have an amazing team working with Cottonwood to protect Montana.
So what do you have commercial members? Do you have organizations that are members? How does that work?
We do not have commercial members. Uh, we have a few handful of businesses that donate monthly. So in theory, they are members. Um, we've tried to stay really small on purpose. Uh, as you know, Montana is growing very quickly, and there's a lot of money flooding into our state. And I've watched as some of the smaller nonprofits have gotten very large, and if you go from having 0 employees to 50 employees very quickly, all of a sudden you have payroll to make. And I've watched, and I don't like saying this, it's painful to say, but I've watched as organizations have grown and they've kind of compromised some of their values and cut some of the corners to continue to have employees. So we try to stay very small intentionally to be nimble, agile, and still do good work.
So how many lawyers are there?
Right now it's just me. We
Just you.
are just me. I just we are working to hire 2 new attorneys. That's the goal for this year is to get 2 new attorneys in the office.
And you have an office in Bozeman.
Yep, we're in downtown Bozeman, so if you're around, stop by and visit. Yep.
hmm And what is your outreach? Do you is it just environmental matters?
No, it's not. We have in the last 5 years or so really started focusing on direct democracy. So we're working on ballot initiatives.
Okay.
We've really taken the lead on some of the ballot initiatives. Um, and probably 4 years ago, we won a case in the Montana Supreme Court that upheld an initiative that would allow us to collect signatures to protect the Gallatin River. Designated voters could decide whether the Gallatin should be permanently protected because the Montana DEQ didn't want to do that. We won a case Katie is very aware of regarding single-use plastics. So
hmm
I think you guys have probably heard that plastics are not good for the environment. They're not good for humans. So Cottonwood worked with the city of Bozeman and the city of Missoula. We helped draft a resolution that said if our cities were allowed to regulate single-use plastics, we would. And so basically saying no more plastic bags. Stuff's bad for the environment, it's bad for people. And so no
Single use. Single
exactly.
use. Yeah.
Yep. And so the cities of Missoula, Bozeman accepted, they passed those resolutions.
Hmm.
And then we went to court because the Montana legislature in 2021 said no cities can regulate plastics and voters cannot regulate plastics at the local level. And so we challenged that and said, hey, when we open up the Montana Constitution here, it says that locals are allowed to pass ballot initiatives on everything except for taxes. And this isn't a tax, this is a regulation of plastics. And so we should be able to move forward with this initiative. And the district court in Helena said, that's correct. You can move forward with the initiative. So we collected Cottonwood and our volunteers and members and the public and everybody got together. We had 90 days to collect 25% of the registered voter signatures in Bozeman. 25% in 90 days in Bozeman. That is
Wow.
very, very, very tall order. And we had something like 75 or 100 volunteers on the streets every day
Oh.
stop. The grocery stores let us collect signatures. We were all the trailheads. We were everywhere, all over Bozeman. And it turns out we got 23.6% of the voters, not 25%.
Oh,
And so
goodness.
we went back and looked at the Constitution and some laws and said, this doesn't make sense. It should only be 15%. And so we
Uh-huh.
filed a legal challenge, and the city of Bozeman settled the case with us and said, "Okay, we'll put this on the ballot. You don't need 25. We'll say you're good with what you have." And so Bozeman
Oh.
voters went to the polls last November, 2024, and they passed the initiative by 63%.
Wow, good. And that's banning single-use plastics.
Yes, yeah. And so the saga continues because the state of Montana appealed our court win, our first court win, saying we local ballot electors cannot ban single-use plastics. And so the Montana Supreme Court decided that the power of citizens to pass regulations, to pass ballot initiatives, is coextensive with the power of local city councils. And so the court has not decided yet whether local cities have the power to ban single use plastics. That's the second part of our case. We have a jury trial. We're anticipating in April or May of 2026 to decide whether the jury in Helena will decide whether single use plastics impact have a harmful impact on human beings and the environment. So
Oh,
yeah, this will be the very first case in the world, to the best of my knowledge, where a jury decides whether plastics harm human beings. So this is
so how, so what happens if they say yes?
then our initiative goes into effect.
Oh, and the initiative is
And
banning the single-use
yes,
plastics.
yeah,
Okay,
it goes and cities can then regulate single-use plastics as well.
I see. Good.
So yeah,
In
we're
spite
opening
of
up.
in spite of the law, the statute that the legislature passed.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Basically, we rule that the jury will decide that plastics have a harmful impact on the environment, and the law will be rendered unconstitutional.
So, in preparation for that, are you going to get a whole bunch of experts like they did in the Held case?
We are certainly trying to do that, and we're trying to raise some money to pay these experts. I've found that experts are not always cheap. And yeah.
Yes.
So again, if you or someone you know wants to donate to that, you can make a donation. It's tax deductible on our website, and you can make a note. This is for the experts for your plastics case, or yeah, it's
Hmm.
certainly possible to make tax deductible donations. Tax restricted donations. I apologize. It's pretty early for me.
Okay, so then in addition to plastics, what are you working on?
So we have members who are tribal. So we have members
Ah,
from the Blackfeet, we have members from the Northern Cheyenne, we have Crow members, and we work with them pretty closely. The tribes have treaty rights to hunt Yellowstone, to hunt bison. Those go back to the 1800s, their ability to hunt bison. And I don't know if anyone has been following for the last 20 or so years. The state of Montana does not like bison at all. And so we like bison. We think bison provide food sovereignty for our tribal members, provides a lot of good things for our tribal members. It's good for the environment, it's good for everyone involved. And so we've been trying for years to get bison back out on the landscape on public land. So in the
hmm.
2000 year 2000, the federal government in the state of Montana signed a plan to manage Yellowstone bison. And that plan said we need to contain where bison go on public land because of a disease called brucellosis. Brucellosis is it was carried in cattle to America by the pioneers. It was transmitted to wildlife, and there's never been a documented case of a bison transmitting brucellosis back to a cow. And so for the last 25 years, Montana said we have to keep bison and cattle separated because it causes brucellosis. And so you fast forward to 2018, and there was a group called the Academy of Sciences, and they published a paper, a peer-reviewed scientific document saying there are cases of brucellosis being transmitted from elk to livestock all over the state of Montana. And so in 2018, he filed a lawsuit saying, hey, Montana and federal government, you guys need to review your analysis here because it looks like the cause of brucellosis is not transmission from bison, it's from elk. And so
Oh,
we asked the court to allow bison to roam free wherever elk are allowed to go on public land. Bison should be able to go.
hmm.
And the court sent the week before the court hearing, which is going to decide whether bison can roam free on public land, the federal government said, okay, we'll do the analysis. And so in 2024, last year, they published, the National Park Service published new science, well, saying they published a new management plan that essentially allows the population to double in and outside the park. And so that's great news because that increase in bison is going to provide more hunting opportunities for our tribal members. And so right now, what happens and what's been happening is the state of Montana has been using bison. They've been using the tribes. They've been telling these tribes, hey, you have treaty rights. You should come and hunt. And that way, all these tribal members line up right on the boundary of Yellowstone National Park. And as soon as the bison get four hooves out of the park, they then start blasting them. They have people who have been shot because it's so dangerous. One hunter was charged with
Oh,
criminal
really?
endangerment because he evidently got so mad he shot somebody else. So this is a very volatile and very dangerous situation. And the way to change that situation is to allow more bison on the landscape. And the best people to say we want more bison on the landscape are the tribal members. They have the treaty rights. And so we have tribal members who have gone into court and said, hey, we want to exercise our treaty rights in a safe way. We want more bison on the landscape. It's going to bring more money into the state of Montana for tourism. It's going to bring more money into Montana for the people who want to see bison. There's a tremendous opportunity economic for increasing bison, increasing Montana's economy, and we should do this. And so that's what we've been working on for the last 6 or 8 months. So after Yellowstone came out with its bison plan, Montana filed a lawsuit, and they filed that lawsuit in November of 2024, knowing that Biden was still in office and he was about to leave, and Trump was about to take office. So they call that sue and then settle. You sue the Democrat, you settle with the Republican. And we said, hey, we can't have that happen. We're going to intervene on behalf of members. And the court granted us intervention. So now we are
The
in court
Democrats in
defending
Yellowstone
the.
County Billings, it's the biggest district there.
Hey, Steve,
Where?
can I talk in a meeting real quick?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in a meeting in DC. I just want to say hi,
Oh,
John. Sorry to
okay.
interrupt you. I didn't know that about the brucellosis, but I'm in a meeting in DC right now, and I just interrupted just to say hi, and I support you, and I apologize for being so damn rude.
You're good. Thank you, Steve.
Well,
Good to see you.
Thank you,
I'm
John.
so
Thanks,
glad
John.
you joined us, Steve. So thank you.
You
You're the
you
one
bet.
that you're the one that got us to call John and ask him to come and speak.
I am. I'm the dirty bugger that caused this meeting, so I thought it was even ruder not to interrupt you. So I just met with our Montana delegation, Zinke and Danes and she. But yesterday I got a private meeting with AOC in a way, and I got to meet Pelosi, and it's been a great trip. I'm gonna stop talking because I'm in this meeting anyway, but I just wanted to send my support and send my love to all you guys.
Well, thanks, Steve. We appreciate that. Well,
Thank
John,
you, Tom.
let's go back and say what else besides plastics and buffalo or
Yep,
bison.
plastics and bison and clean water. So we've been challenging um, various private entities in Big Sky for the last 5 years over water pollution. And a few years back, we walked up the river. We saw maps in the South Fork of the Gallatin River starts on Yellowstone Club property. And we said, well, the Montana DQ has said that this area, this segment of the river is water quality impaired for nitrogen pollution. And the only person up here is the Yellowstone Club. So let's go figure out what's going on. So Montana laws say you can hike or recreate below the high water mark. And so we walked up the river below the high water mark and took water samples. And we were looking at our map, our electronic map, and it said, okay, right here above us, 2,000 feet above, is the golf course for the Yellowstone Club. And there's a stream coming off their property right here. So let's take a water sample. And then we walked upstream another 100 feet, 100 yards, took another water sample as our control. And it turns out that water coming off the Yellowstone Club's golf course was discharging nitrogen at about 26 times the surface water level. And so nitrogen is a huge indicator of it's a huge indicator of treated effluent. sewage, basically. And so the Yellowstone Club, they irrigate their golf course with treated effluent. And we said, well, here's the samples. And so we filed a Clean Water Act lawsuit against the Yellowstone Club, and we have a trial against them in February.
Who is the plaintiff?
Cottonwood Environmental Law Center.
So
So,
you are a plaintiff that
yep.
way.
And
Okay.
if you
You're
guys
not
be
representing, you're actually the party.
exactly, yep. And again, that goes back to us changing our bylaws and saying
I
we have
see.
members and we represent our members. So we have filed declarations with the court saying our members say, hey, we're members of Cottonwood and we want a clean river, and the Yellowstone Club polluting it impairs our ability to recreate. I don't want to fish here. I don't want to swim here. I don't want my kids playing here if these guys are going to keep polluting. So that's where you guys come in by becoming members of Cottonwood. We can do this sort of work on your behalf.
So is there a standing problem?
No, there's not. No, there's not. They've not
So
raised standing issue at
they
all.
haven't okay,
No.
good.
And so
Well, that's great.
the court has scheduled a trial for February. So we have a trial on the books
Trial
against the
date.
Yellowstone Club in February. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And it is because of the pollution of the water
Yep.
that's used to try and get green grass in uh, their they what is it there? It's a uh,
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, uh, it's not just to get green grass. It's part of an agreement that the Yellowstone Club signed into. So in 2001,
Oh,
Tim Blixseth, I don't know if people remember the name
yeah.
Blixseth. He owned the Yellowstone Club. He went into bankruptcy and went to jail for fraud for a long time or for a while. Um, Tim Blixseth uh, actually ended up, the Yellowstone Club was sold out of bankruptcy to a group called Cross Harbor Capital Partners, which is an East Coast investment firm. Cross Harbor Capital signed an agreement in 2001 in 2017, agreeing to take over the 2001 agreement with with the Big Sky Water and Sewer District. So the Big Sky Water and Sewer District signed an agreement in 2001 saying they will accept new sewer connections from the Yellowstone Club and from Spanish Peaks if those two private resorts dispose of treated wastewater. And so there's kind of this quid pro quo where, hey, we'll take your treated pollution and you have to dispose of it. And I guess that sounds okay. I guess that's fine. The problem is that the guy who manages the Yellowstone Club in Spanish Peaks, these private resorts, sits on the board of directors for the Big Sky Water and Sewer District.
Oh,
And so there is a massive conflict of interest. He is a
wow.
named defendant. I don't know if you guys have been following this Crazy Mountain Ranch story with the Montana
Yes,
NRC. Mike Duquesnoy, same guy,
really.
same situation. It was a similar situation. And so he's a named defendant in that case, and he's a named defendant in a new case that Cottonwood just filed recently. And so the case alleges that Big Sky Water and Sewer District Manager and Mike Duquesnoy sent the US EPA fraudulent data regarding the volume of sewage that was sent up to Spanish Peaks for export. And they did that so that they could continue to connect sewers in Spanish Peaks Resort. And
So
so, go ahead.
what is the environmental concern on this?
It
Because sewage is not bad as a good protein for the grass.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
doesn't
as
hurt.
long as you don't over irrigate it, it's okay. And so we have another jury trial in this November in a few months against Big Sky Resort. So we put dye in the wastewater in Big Sky. Big Sky has a treatment plant there right at the bottom of the canyon. And we put dye in their treatment plant. And the golf course right across the street that's owned by Big Sky Resort irrigated that golf course with that dye that we put in their ponds. And we then found that dye coming out of a pipe being discharged into the river on the golf course 1 week later. That was the first time we took the water sample, and that's when we found the dye. And so, yeah, treated sewage is okay. It acts as a fertilizer. It's okay as long as you're not over irrigating. The problem is that these
I
guys
see.
need to get rid of so much of it because as you continue to build more and more vacation houses, you have to dispose of more and more sewage. And
So
so,
they don't have a good sewage system then.
no, well, no, they don't. And no, they do not because they're
And
still,
that's something they can do. It's they put the money in it.
yes, that's yes, yes, yes. And so Big Sky Resort is now saying, hey, we just upgraded our sewer plant. And so that's great news because they used to be irrigating the golf course with sewage that contained nitrogen at 50 milligrams per liter was the concentration. And that's really high. They're saying now we're
Mhm.
below 5. And that's great news. That's a good start. The problem is that if you over irrigate, it doesn't matter if how what the concentration is, you're still getting nitrogen into the groundwater and the surface water. It might not be as high a
Mm.
concentration, but you're still polluting the river. And so
Mhm.
you need
Mhm.
to pull back on the volume that you're irrigating with, not just the concentration, but the volume.
Mhm. Mhm. All
So,
right.
yeah. And our main goal here for the entire Big Sky area, there's more money in Big Sky than anywhere in the US, probably. Between the Yellowstone Club and Big Sky, I mean, there's a lot of money hanging out there. And so these folks have the resources and the ability to purchase the best treatment technology available.
Yeah.
There are cities in the US that take out certain pollutants that are not regulated by the US EPA under the Clean Water Act. There's EPA science and Montana DEQ science saying fish are changing sex, amphibians are changing sex. We're having human health impacts because of the pharmaceuticals that are in the wastewater. And right now, there's no treatment plant in Montana that removes pharmaceuticals from wastewater. But there are other cities that have treatment plants that do, in fact, remove those pollutants that are not regulated under the Clean Water Act. So we're saying, hey, let's all work together. You guys purchase this new technology, both in Big Sky at the treatment plant and put a similar addition, technological addition at your wastewater treatment plant in the Yellowstone Club, and let's get on with our lives because we've been dealing with this for a long time. You guys have the resources. Let's clean up our rivers and move forward.
So is that successful? What's the attitude of the big sky?
They don't want to go there. No, and
Okay.
uh, it it's a financial. It's a
It is. Uh-huh.
hard financial decision. They're saying this is going to cost us a couple $1 million to litigate, and if we win, great. We spent $2 million and we're fine. And if we lose, our fine's going to be whatever, 5 or 10 million, 20 million. It could be up to 50 million, but we still think that's cheaper than buying the technology. So
Really?
yeah, that's my they've never said that to me point blank, and I can't discuss our settlement agreement or our settlement negotiations. However, that's the sense that I get, and that's what I've been told by other people. So um yeah, stay tuned on that one.
Okay. Are there any other things that you're working on that are significant in the environmental area?
Um so we have a case against the state of Montana and several like Christie Stapleton, the Secretary of State, and several other players at the state level regarding ballot initiatives. So to circle
Okay.
back to ballot initiatives, um, we won a case a few years back that said we could put an initiative on the ballot to protect the Gallatin River as an outstanding resource water, and we could collect signatures to do that. And the Montana AG said, no, you cannot put this on the ballot because it's unconstitutional. And we went to the Montana Supreme Court and said it's not the job of the Montana AG to determine the constitutionality of a ballot
Ah,
initiative. That's the job of the judiciary. And so that's what the Montana Supreme Court said. And they said, we don't want to see this come back to us again. And so after we won that case, the Montana legislature basically adopted the exact same law, giving the AG the same power. We've challenged
oh,
that again. And so we won in district court in Helena. We are defending that win in the Montana Supreme Court right now. The state of Montana is response brief is due in the next week or so. And so that's a big case. And it's really important because the people who are representing are extremely important. These aren't Cottonwood members. These are Maynann Ellingson, who, as people know, if you open up the Montana Constitution and read the preface, she wrote that preface to the Montana Constitution back in 1972, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, we have other founders of the drafters of the Montana Constitution, the delegates, some of the surviving delegates from the 72 convention. We have a guy named John Modell, who's a former
Oh,
commissioner of political practices for the state of Montana. We have a guy named Bob Brown, who's a former Republican Secretary of State. We have
okay.
a guy
And
named,
they're all parties,
they're all plaintiffs. Yep. Yep. Yep.
plaintiffs. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. A
Yeah,
guy named
good.
C.B. Pearson, who is a retired professor. He helped start Montpurg, I believe. Yeah, so we have some really important people as plaintiffs in that case. And again, that's just another example of Cottonwood helping defend our direct democracy.
Uh-huh. Very good. Well, should we go to questions, and then we'll come back to your campaign? But let's get the questions and comments first. Carol, you had your hand up?
Yes, hi, John. Thank you for being here today. Several things that have perked my interest, but especially the pollution and water pollution, or any kind of pollution. Whatever is being polluted is a chemical compound, and I think we have a lot of professional and educated people that can handle what that means. Some of them are hired by some of these companies, are intimidated so they can't do their job.
Mhm.
But if I think a lot of stuff, if like even your nitrogen stuff, if it's got something else, excuse me, got something else attached to it, and it might be just breaking things down to their basic elements and you know refining it in a sense, and then it's more applicable, and like you said, also the concentration, because definitely um, nitrogen needs to be in the water
Mhm.
because it feeds
Yep.
the aqua, it feeds the fish, it feeds the aqua vegetation. It provides for when you get irrigation for the plants and et cetera, the
Mhm.
whole food chain of what it does there too. So I'm see, I'm a geologist in there somewhere, so that's kind of something that I'm acquainted with doing. Um, the other thing was the bison issue. I started out with talking to Conrad Burns when he was trying to get bison uh, for brucellosis. It says, the great great grandparents that were settling cattle ranches in Montana were going down to Texas to get free with longhorns that were left by the Spanish, and they didn't keep track of them all, so they went out wild somewhere, and they got in with the wildlife, and that's how brucellosis got into the wildlife chain. And like you said, I don't see I don't understand why anything else we have that's you know what I think a virus or something like that, we usually find something to inoculate it so we can get rid of it. Nobody's done anything like that, I don't think. Have they?
Um, I don't know where. So there's a federal agency called APHIS, Animal Plant Health and Inspection Service. I
Mhm.
think they do some of that research on. There's a division of APHIS called Veterinary Services, and they do
Hmm.
some of that brucellosis testing. I don't know if they have researched the ability to breed for livestock that don't carry brucellosis. That's a good question. I see you're a member or part of Northern Plains Resource Council. The
Mhm.
first case I ever won was on behalf of Northern Plains back in 2011. I was working with Jack Tucholsky, the late great Jack Tucholsky, and we
Mhm.
won a case in the Ninth Circuit that invalidated the construction permit for a $550 million coal railroad that they wanted to build in southeast Montana, on behalf of Northern Plains members. And so I told you that I used to work for the Forest Service. I was a plant biologist. So the Forest Service would drop me off on the side of the road with a map and a compass and say, hey, go survey for rare plants. And if you find the plants, we won't log this area. And so when I was in law school, I was working on this case to stop this coal railroad, the Tongue River Coal Railroad. And I looked at the comments and I looked at the analysis and said, hey, they never surveyed for rare plants. And so when we got that court decision, one of the reasons why the court invalidated the construction permit, why they said you can't build this coal railroad, is because you didn't survey for rare plants. And that is an incredible thing. That's when I got to really see the power of the law. When you can't build a coal railroad because you haven't looked for rare plants, that tells me that the environment actually counts and it means something and our laws mean something. And that was something that was really important for me to digest and understand why I'm practicing law. So that was a cool experience that I had with Northern Plains.
Well, just to bite on that, we also, Northern Plains stopped the Tongue River coal from being mined just by stripping.
Yep.
And it was because if you did it, here's another problem with water. There was bad water because of agriculture, and it was percolating through that coal, and it came up, it was fresh, and then if you take it away, that one of the best agricultural communities was the Tongue River area, would have just completely been destroyed.
Jack and I won a case when I was in law school, a constitutional case challenging the coal bed methane. I don't know if people remember that, but they drilled down and removed that surface water, and then you'd unleash all this coal bed methane that would come up and to the surface. And they were just letting this water dump it on the ground. And this is like good fresh water. And so the court said, hey, you can't just dispose of our water that way. You can't waste our water. The Montana Constitution doesn't allow you to waste our water. And so that's why we won that case. So yeah, I've had a great relationship with Northern Plains since I was in law school.
Well, my thesis when I got out of college was comparing a coal strip and Bull Mountain coals and the processes.
Okay, so let's go on to Ruth has her a hand up. Ruth? No, you're mute. You're mute. There.
I was wondering how many members you have and what your overhead is for your law firm. And you certainly have made a big difference in Montana in protecting the environment. Anyway, you're a busy man, but I think you should write a book about these cases.
Ruth, thank you. Thanks for being here. Last, I talked with my deputy director a few weeks ago, and I think we have maybe 150, 200 current members. Yeah. And those are people not only in Montana, but all across the country. Yeah. In terms of overhead, I believe that last year our costs were in the ballpark of $350,000. And that's going to go up significantly this year when we hire 2 new attorneys. Attorneys in Bozeman are not cheap, and so those numbers are going to go up. And some of our experts in our Yellowstone Club case, Mick was just talking about experts. Our expert, one of them is she graduated from Harvard in 1982. She's a researcher at the University of Maryland. In our Yellowstone Club case, she's working with the University of California, Davis, to do isotopic analysis. So these are high-end experts that we have, and these folks are not cheap. We understand that Montana is the last best place. And with that being said, we have experts from Montana State University, also PhD researchers from Montana State University working with us as well. And so we have a great team of experts on that Yellowstone Club case. And these are new costs that we haven't incurred last year. So our costs are going to go up significantly this next year.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question? And I'm sorry, I couldn't figure out how to
Sure.
raise my hand.
Oh, it should be on the bottom. You should be able to check in on that. But go
Yeah.
ahead, Katie, and
Yeah.
then we'll go to Mike after that.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I do see it now. Sorry. Okay. Hey, I wanted to ask, do you guys have like a benefit coming up? I thought I saw something on that, but I can't remember if it passed already, like a benefit fundraiser dinner. And then also I know this doesn't really have to do with pollution, but I was just curious, just your thoughts on AI as far as like water extraction goes and, possible other harms to the environment.
Um, I'll answer your first question first. Fundraisers, I don't think we have anything on the books. I would love to work with you guys out in Billings as we move forward on this Shepherd landfill case. If we move forward, we've been representing that group Stop the Shepherd landfill for free for the last year or so, and so we would love to get some financial support to continue working on that case. So maybe we can do something in Billings together in the next month or two, Katie, depending on everyone's schedules and time. In terms of AI, water, I've AI is not all bad. It's not all good. It's for me, AI is kind of like money. Like money in and of itself is not bad. And I've growing up from in a working class family, I thought you just work hard and you get a paycheck and that's how life goes. And that is certainly not how life goes in Western Montana. There's a lot of money coming in and it influences things and it's spent on things that we don't all necessarily agree with. And some of it's unethical. And so money can be used in unethical ways. It can be used in ethical ways. And so, but at the end of the day, the money itself is neutral. Money is just a piece of paper. It doesn't do anything. Just because you have money doesn't do anything. It's how you spend it and how you made it. And I think the same of AI. AI is neutral, right? It's how we're going to use AI and what we're going to do with it that's going to really count. There can be some amazing things that we can do with AI, and there can be some really bad things that we can do with AI. At the end of the day, it's just how we decide collectively as a culture, as a society, how we want to employ that. I don't think AI is going away, and I don't think it's going to be helpful for us to stick our head in the sand and say this doesn't exist or I don't want to hear about it. That's my
Well,
opinion.
I always take the position that if you get garbage in, you get garbage out. That's if you get it really right, then you've got something worthwhile.
Yep.
Okay, Mike, you had your hand up.
Yeah, John, I was just going to ask a little bit more about the Shepherd landfill case. So we have, I didn't understand what you said about that. Would you expand on that just a little bit more?
Sure. So last week the court issued an order saying the landfill can move forward. And so we have flagged some issues that we think are potential winners on appeal in terms of the PFAS, the polyfluoral. Have you guys heard of PFAS? It,
Yeah.
it it's concentrated in auto shredder residue. So the Shepherd landfill would be a landfill, though it's a monofill of only auto shredder residue. So these guys, Pacific Steel and Recycling, takes out all the metal, all the aluminum, all the everything, all the metals out of the cars. And what you have left is the plastic dashboards and seats and all this stuff. They shred it up real finely, and that's auto shredder residue. Auto shredder residue is concentrated. It's concentrated PFAS, and so PFAS is known widely by people for being a carcinogen. I mean, this stuff is bad for humans, real bad. And there's never been a auto shredder residue landfill that's been licensed in the United States just for auto shredder residue. And so we're saying, hey, you guys, you being the DQ, should have completed an environmental impact statement instead of just an environmental assessment, a shorter EA. you need to do a more thorough job of looking at the impacts of this auto shredder residue landfill. And one of those reasons we said is you have leachate ponds where the water, when it snows, when it rains, it goes through these piles of auto shredder residue and goes out into a leachate pond. The pond is open to the air. The air is going to carry this PFAS, this nasty stuff through the air, and it's going to go everywhere. And you never analyze that at all. And so that's one issue that we're looking at appealing to the Montana Supreme Court because they did not research that at all. They didn't analyze the impacts of that. They never discussed that. And so that's one issue that we're looking at taking up to the Montana Supreme Court.
Okay.
And we have been representing Stop the Shepherd landfill for free for 6 months a year. And I've tried really hard for a long time to eat karma, and I can't. I've got twin boys. I've got a family that I'm trying to feed, and so we just can't represent people, everybody for free as much as we want to, and so that's where donations come in from private individuals, from anyone who wants to become a Cottonwood member, become a supporter. That's really where we are. We need you to protect our Montana.
All right. Well, that's great, but we got 10 minutes left now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your new venture of running for mayor of the city of Bozeman?
Yeah, so I'm going to take off my Cottonwood hat and put on my candidate hat. My name is John Meyer. I'm running for mayor of Bozeman to make our town the most sustainable on the planet. I think that I don't think, I know that we need more affordable housing in Bozeman. We need more clean energy in Bozeman. We need better public transportation in Bozeman. Those are the main issues that I'm focusing on right now. I think that I know that affordable housing is a huge issue facing everybody in Montana. And so Cottonwood worked with a group of Bozeman residents this year and last year to put together an initiative, a local ballot initiative that would allow Bozeman voters, the local level, to decide whether we want affordable housing. So this November in Bozeman, voters are going to get to decide whether 1/3 of all new development in Bozeman city limits of 3 units or more has to be affordable. So you'll be asked a question, yes or no. Do you want 1/3 of all new development in Bozeman of 3 units or more to be affordable?
How do you enforce that?
The developers have to apply for development
I see.
for permits, and this is a condition that the affordable will be deed restricted if you're selling it for market. And if you're going to rent this essentially acts as a rent cap. It's going to be, the cap is, I believe, 60% of area median income. And so that makes the affordability such that a barista work coffee shop,
Just about that much.
the baristas working in the coffee shops can live in Bozeman. What we're seeing here right now is people who are working here can't live here. And that's just, to me, fundamentally not fair. If you work in Bozeman, you should be able to live in Bozeman. And so we worked together. We worked with the Bozeman city attorney, and they have approved this initiative. So you might remember last year, the year before, the Montana legislature said you cannot require affordable housing. You cannot require benefits as part of your development. They said, we're going to remove all requirements, and we're just going to build our way out of this problem. If we open this up to the open market, everything will be great. We'll just build a lot more housing, and then we'll have affordability for everybody. The market will take care of this. And what we're seeing right now in Bozeman is that 20% of housing built since the year 2020 in Bozeman is vacant. We have people who cannot find housing, cannot afford housing, but there is luxury housing. 20% of the new houses built in Bozeman since 2020 are vacant. And that tells me there's a huge gap. There's a huge disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And we want to eliminate that gap and say, hey, we want the people who are living next to We want bakers living next to doctors, living next to firemen, living next to teachers, lawyers. We want a real community. That's what it looks like for us, is having everyone live together instead of gentrifying our town and having small, affordable housing pockets here and there. Because 20 years from now, those affordable housing pockets are going to be projects or slums or projects or whatever you want to call them. We need to take the long view here and say we need a more integrated community approach, not just a gentrified, we're going to have the affordability over here, the poor people over here, and the rich people over here. That's not a real town, in my opinion. And so this initiative allows Bozeman voters to say, yes, we want real affordable housing. And the way we do that is because developers in Bozeman right now, if you want to develop in Bozeman, you have to bring the city water rights. And we live in a closed basin, meaning all the water is accounted for. And so the developers pay the city what's called cash in lieu of water rights. Here's some, and we're saying, we don't want your money. We can't drink your money. So if you want to use our water, you need to provide some affordable housing. So that's the idea behind the ballot initiative.
So tell us a little bit more about the campaign. Is there an incumbent? Are there other candidates? What are your challenges?
Yeah, there is no incumbent. There is my challenger. His name is he's on the city commission right now, and so he's a commissioner. He's not the current mayor. He does not support our ballot initiative for affordable housing. That's a main difference. The other things that I'm running on here is clean energy. We need more clean energy, and Bozeman has the drive and the ability to require that. And so I've been talking with some of the city council folks in Missoula. I want to talk with some of the folks in Billings. So if you can put me in touch with some of those folks, it'd be great. I would like for our cities in Montana to get together collectively and start throwing our weight at Northwestern Energy. They're just gouging residents. I know that Missoula took the city's private water supply by eminent domain. And I don't see why our cities cannot take Northwestern Energy by eminent domain or start buying stock in Northwestern Energy and start saying this is how we want our Northwestern Energy to be supply. This is where we want our energy to come from. There's some big opportunities if we work together in cities across Montana to get some clean energy on the grid.
All right. Well, I don't know whether these hands up are continuation or not. Ruth, did you have something
Oh,
further?
I'm sorry, no.
Okay. How about you, Carol? And then we'll go to Adela.
Just one little part about that settling ponds with a shepherd problem. It's been a while, but out in Huntley, a guy went and did planted islands of certain vegetation on ponds to take whatever was in the ponds and kind of take some of the pollutants and stuff out of it. And I don't know if that's still going on now. And I haven't heard too much more about it being used elsewhere. But I was wondering if maybe that could be a solution.
It certainly could be a mitigation. I've never heard that before or thought about that, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, check into that. You might find something to use there.
Thank you.
Okay, Adela?
Thank you very much, John. This is really interesting. So just what you said about Northwestern Energy, I hate them so much, but that's an aside. But the city of Billings did send formal letter protesting the increase. Several of us commented to the council about the rate increase and how it would affect us in kind of a double whammy through our city taxes and in our homes. But in Billings, the city realized that the Northwestern rate increases would increase costs just to the city. And of course, the water treatment plant, all those, the water operations, public works is where it will affect the city the most. But it would increase Billings cost $1 million to $1.5 million if these rate increases go through. And I think once they looked at it, they saw that it was real money. So the city, and this had to do with city residents speaking up. They did send a formal letter of protest to the Public Service Commission about the rate increase. And so that's one thing. Um, about affordable housing, everybody agrees about affordable housing. And I agree with what you said about an integrated city, but therein lies the problem. See, on a theoretical level, yes, affordable housing is great. We need more of it, but no one wants it in their neighborhood. That so how do you deal with that? I think until you deal with that, this problem is unsolvable.
Well, I will say thank you. And I live in affordable housing myself. I'm an attorney. I'm a very successful attorney. I live in affordable housing. I wouldn't be able to live in Bozeman if it wasn't for affordable housing. And so I live next to people. So right now, my subdivision, 50% of the houses are affordable and 50% are market. And we don't know who is in the affordable, who's in the market. All of our kids play together. We all are part of a community. We barbecue together. We ski together. We mountain bike together. We're a real community. Nobody cares who has money, who doesn't. It doesn't matter. So it's possible. We are a living example. We are the proof of concept here that it's possible to do that. And so our initiative requires not only 1/3 of all development to be affordable, but it has to be the same quality inside and out. It has to be the same size inside and out. So you can't build like two $10 billion houses, then put a cardboard box in the back and say, okay, this is our affordable house. We want truly equal housing for people who live and work here.
So there is,
Well,
so there's no
that
distinction.
example should be publicized more, it seems.
I agree. Absolutely, I agree.
So is there any discrimination between, do you know which houses are
I don't know.
affordable and which ones aren't?
I have no idea.
Okay, so you can't look at it from the outside and make that
You'd have
determination.
no idea that our house, that I live in the affordable house.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's go to, was that enough, Katie? Did you have anything further?
I just
And
wanted to mention that the PSC is still accepting public comment on the rate hike. So we don't need to think that this is over, and we can still put in our opinions to the Public Service Commission. So if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you do.
good, good.
And,
Thank you. Thank you.
and
Okay.
if you guys are in touch with some of the Billings commissioners who are in support of regulating Northwestern Energy, either through a takeover or through buying their stock, I would love to be put in touch with those folks. I'm serious. I mean, it sounds like it's a big idea, but we need big ideas if we're going to protect Montana.
Okay.
Can you say that again, John? What did you say?
Yeah, so I've been talking with a city council member in Missoula, and I'm looking for city commissioners, council members in Billings that want to start regulating Northwestern Energy, either through a takeover, like Missoula did this private water. They took over their private water through eminent domain, or by buying stock from Northwestern Energy and saying, okay, we own whatever percentage of stock, and we're saying you can no longer buy new coal or things like that. We want to be shareholders because they're a publicly traded company. There's no reason why a city or cities can't pool our money together and buy stock in Northwestern Energy and say, well, you can't do this anymore.
Well, that's a big job, though, to get a
That
majority.
it's going to take a bunch of us cities working together. But there's plenty of commissioners who don't like Northwestern Energy. It's just a matter of getting us all together and
Okay.
doing the work. Mike,
Okay,
I saw your.
Carol, I
Oops.
think we're going to jump over you because you've been on before. I want to hear from Sarah and then Pam. Sarah,
Oh, yeah. Thank you,
there you go.
Thomas. And thank you, John, for all of the work that you're doing. I spend a lot of time in Montana, but admittedly, I'm a full-time New Jersey resident. So I came across this and just thought it was interesting and wanted to contribute. I run a strategy firm. We do a lot of environmental advocacy work, and I'm also an elected official, so I serve as a commissioner in New Jersey. Um, I'm popping in just to say that I've done a lot of legislative work and advocacy work in affordable housing and environmental issues. And I've been able to get a couple of things achieved that have really made a difference with lots of different people and how we are able to obtain housing, afford housing, and what the climate looks like. So, my firm, we have kind of ramped up our campaign recently to work with lots of different states who are doing climate based initiatives. In New Jersey, we're the Garden State, so our campaign is sustain the Garden State. But I wanted to just pop in to say that I connected with you on LinkedIn. I am in Montana for the summer, and I am going to be back in March. And I have lots of things going on here with different campaigns and contracts and whatnot. But I'd love to just chat with you if you have, time outside of the call for 30 minutes of coffee. I can be in Bozeman quickly, but congrats on the campaign. It takes a lot to run for office and it's a lot of intense, hard work. People don't really understand the sacrifice until they're in those shoes. So congrats to you. But I'd love to just maybe share some ideas on how my firm has been pretty skilled at fundraising. So some of the work that you're trying to fundraise, I'm happy to make some connections there to support your efforts and just, I don't know, maybe brainstorm for 30 minutes or an hour. We can do it virtually, whatever you'd like. But I'd just like to, things that have worked in other areas, perhaps they could be effective here too. And I'd love to see the work that you're doing be accomplished. So
That sounds great. Thank you.
yeah,
And with that being said, the sacrifice is huge because I have twin 5-year-old boys.
yeah.
And so they have swim lessons coming up here, and I need to get them to swim lessons. So I have about 2 more minutes. I apologize. I have to come
Okay.
short.
Let's hear from Pam. She might have something further.
Thanks, Tom. I just wanted to say that the council member who led the letter, who brought up the issue of Northwest Energy and wrote the letter to Northwest Energy was Scott Aspenleiter, who's best friends with the Attorney General. So he's not your typical person. We also have a candidate running for office for the city council, Tony O'Donnell, who's a past PSC commissioner, who stood up to say, essentially, there's very little authority that PSC has um, to stop the rate increases. But Montana or Billings is a tough area to get cooperation, I think, but it might be worthwhile talking to Scott and just asking him um, and providing information because he's a powerful leader and he's smart and he's a background as an engineer.
Great.
Mm.
Can you share his contact info with me?
I can, and I think you've got a link on the Cottonwood site, right?
Yeah.
So I can just
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got his phone number and his
Great.
email.
Okay, awesome
Oh,
thing. And I
very
would
good.
Okay.
say, I heard you say that Billings is a tough town to get some collaboration on some of these issues. And I agree. We tried to get Billings to get on board with the resolution for the single-use plastics, and I don't think we were able to do that. However, I think that the pocketbook issue of Northwestern Energy just gouging everybody impacts every Montana. It doesn't matter if where you live, whether you're in Whitefish or Billings or Whitehall or anywhere. We're just getting hammered by Northwestern Energy, and nobody likes that. People in Billings do not want to pay more than they should for energy. So if we don't talk about clean energy, we just talk about Northwestern screwing us. I think people understand that in Billings loud and clear.
Okay, well,
I
we
think
don't want to hold you back. Let's go ahead. Ruth, did you have something real quick?
Yes, I'd just like to add, it's not only the city that's being um, exploited by Northwest Energy, but also our county government. We have that big metro and then the courthouse. I don't know how much other property um, the county owns, but it's also our school districts. The schools all have to pay the higher energy costs as well, and I mean, it's and ultimately it comes back to the taxpayers. The school district can't get a bond issue passed in this in this city, so it's really, I mean, it's all these different groups. It has a huge impact on the
Oh,
city of Billings.
okay. Okay. Any further comments, John?
No, thank you so much for having me today. Yes,
Yeah, and I really appreciate it that you would take this time. That's really great, and you can join us anytime as one of the members. So anytime.
very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. See you. Have a good day.
Thank
Okay.
you, John.
Yes, thank you.
And did you have something further, Pam? Did you want
No,
to?
well,
Okay.
no, I had additional information about Northwest Energy and what the rationale was with the city, but
So
could you
Pam,
could you send me his email? Because I can't get to him directly through the
Okay.
website.
You need me to send you his email. All right, I'll do
Right.
that. Okay,
Thanks.
I will. Okay.
Pam, was there
Uh,
a vote on whether or not to send that letter?
oh yeah, they sent the letter.
I
There's no
know, but
question.
did,
They
what,
had to
were
have a
there
vote
people
to
who opposed
authorize it.
sending that letter?
No, no. But his rationale was that the primary reason that Northwest Energy need to expand capacity is for to provide power to AI producers, and that those would always be located outside city limits. So it would cost the city a ton of money, but we would never realize any tax basis. The other thing, which he must know, but Northwest Energies is guaranteed a 10% profit, which is just an outrage. I mean, under
Yeah.
no other place do you get a 10% guaranteed profit.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
and
right.
that's one of the issues to raise.